In this video, I'm going to show you how to order fractions. I will show you how to order fractions from smallest to largest, and we'll reverse it, and I will also show you how to order them from largest to smallest, as you will find you will be asked both questions at some points during this year and also in your SATs next year. So there are a few steps that we need to follow, and if you follow the steps precisely, you will find that actually it can be quite a simple process. So we'll be needing to find equivalents, and we'll also be needing to find lowest common denominators. So you will see the link between this lesson and your previous lessons this week and last week. So step 1, we need to find the lowest common denominator, and this is so that we can find our equivalent fractions, and also so that we can compare them, because we need to compare the fractions in order to see their size. So lowest common denominator, not fraction. When we find the lowest common denominator, we're trying to find the lowest common multiple that all of these denominators have in common. And just to recap, your denominator is the bottom number, so the 3, the 6, and the 9. So if you're not as confident with your times tables, you can find this by looking down a times table grid. You'll need to look in the 3s, the 6, and the 9s, and you'll need to find the first number that all 3 of these numbers have in common. So take a moment to have a look. If you are more confident with your times tables, you can quickly run through them in your head, and you can find a number that 3, 6, and 9 all have as a common multiple. So I'll give you a moment just to do that. Okay, so in this instance, our lowest common denominator is going to be 18. So 3 goes into 18, 6 goes into 18, and 9 also goes into 18. So this is a step where we convert or find our equivalent fractions. So that'll be step 2. So find equivalent fractions. Now you can use a pictorial method to help you here, and you do that by drawing the bars and by colouring each fraction on the bars. We're going to show you the written method. If you do want to look at the pictorial method, you can look at previous videos for comparing fractions and for finding equivalent fractions. But here I'm going to show you the written method because it is the most efficient. So first of all, we need to find the equivalent fractions. So we are going to convert these all to over 18. So if I change the colour to make it nice and clear, is over 18 is over 18 is over 18. So as you'll have seen, I've done this for all 3 fractions. So all 3 fractions need to be over the same denominator. Our lowest common denominator here is 18. So we do the same to the top as we do the bottom. So we need to complete those missing numbers. So 3 times 6 makes 18. We then need to multiply the numerator by 6 as well, because you do the same to the top as you do the bottom. 2 times 6 is, change the colour again, 12. So we know that 2/3 is equivalent to 12/18. We now move on to our next fraction, which is 5/6, and we're converting that to something over 18. 6 times 3 is 18. We're going to multiply the numerator by 3 as well, because you do the same to the top as you do the bottom. So 5 times 3 makes 15. We now have 2 completed fractions, and we're just going to do the same process to the final fraction. So we need to look at the relationship between 9 and 18. 9 times 2 makes 18. We do the same to the numerator because you do the same to the top as you do the bottom. So 7 times 2, and that makes 14. So we now have 3 fractions, all with the same denominators. Now we have the same denominators, we can compare, we can order, we can do a lot more with these fractions. Remember, you have to have the same denominator before you do anything else with a fraction. So now we have a simple process of looking at which is the smallest, which is the largest, and then you'll know which one goes in the middle. If you have more than 3 fractions, then you will have to do it step by step. And what I like to do is I like to tick off the fractions as I go, so I know which ones I've used and I know which ones I've got left. Sometimes you will be asked to order 5 or 6 fractions from smallest to largest, or from largest to smallest. Now we've been asked to order from smallest to largest, so we're going to start off by finding the smallest fraction. So find the first fraction. In this case, it is the smallest. If you were asked to order from largest to smallest, you would obviously have to find the largest fraction first. So we're looking at the smallest fraction. So the first fraction, the smallest fraction, we've got 12 over 18, we've got 15 over 18, and we've got 14 over 18. Which of those numbers is the smallest? 12, 15, or 14? We know that 12 is smaller than 14 and 15, so that is our smallest fraction. So 12/18 is the smallest. Now we're going to revert back to the original form, which is 2/3. So we will write 2/3 here. And you're just going to write your fraction out again, but you're going to separate it with a comma. Probably put that comma on the bottom actually. And now I'm going to take a different colour and I'm just going to tick off 12/18 to show I've used that fraction. Now I won't use it again and I won't get myself confused. So we've got our smallest fraction. We're now going to work out our next smallest fraction, or our middle fraction. You could do it a different order. You could find your largest and then place the middle in the middle, but I'm going to show you this way in case you come across 4, 5, 6, or even a larger number of fractions. So we've got 15/18 and 14/18 to compare now, and we're looking for the smallest of those two. So which is smaller, 15 or 14? We know that 14 is smaller than 15, so 14/18, which is equivalent to 7/9, is our smaller fraction. We revert back to the original form, so we'll put 7/9 here, and again separate it by a comma, okay, and then take the other colour and we can tick that fraction off. We now only have one fraction left, and this should be our largest fraction, and it's 15/18. Just to double check your work, make sure that is the largest number. So we know 15 is larger than both 12 and 14, so I'm quite happy. And I'm going to revert back to the original form, which is 5/6, as you can see there in the black pen, and I will put that into my order. So now I've said that 2/3 is smaller than 7/9, which is smaller than 5/6. So I've ordered these fractions from smallest to largest. Now if I go into a different colour completely, and I'm going to show you just the other version, and we're going to order these fractions from largest to smallest. So you can refer back to this video at a later date if you come across that fraction question. So we'll write it here. Order from largest or biggest to smallest. Okay, and we're using the same fractions. So we have 12/18, 15/18, 14/18, or 2/3, 5/6, or 7/9. So this time we're going to look for the largest. So which is the biggest number? Is it 12, 15, or 14? Now we know that 15 is the largest number there, so I'm going to revert back to the original form, 5/6, and that will come first. Because I'm ordering, I'm going to separate it by a comma, and now we're looking for the second largest, or the middle fraction. So out of the two that we've got left, which is larger, 14 or 12? 14 is the largest number, so we're going to revert back to the original fraction, which is 7/9, and write that down, separate it by a comma, and it comes to the final fraction. We just check it's the smallest, so 12 is definitely smaller than 15 and 14, so 12/18, which is 2/3, will be our final fraction. So here we have shown you how to order fractions from smallest to largest and from largest to smallest by following the 3 steps. So find the lowest common denominator, find the equivalent fractions, find the first fractions, and then finally, step 4, complete the order. If you apply those steps, you'll be able to solve different questions or similar questions to this with either 2, 3, 4, 5, or any number of fractions. So go away, have a go, and remember you can always return to this video if you get stuck.